Hey ladies, and welcome back to the 30-Day Empowered Birth and Motherhood Journey. Today we're going to be discussing something called your birth legacy. What legacy do you want to leave behind for your daughters or your daughter-in-laws or any women in your family who are going through pregnancy or about to give birth? What is your birth legacy? What do you want to leave behind when it comes to this amazing and glorious process of birthing our children? Maybe you're that woman who had a traumatic birth experience, or maybe you had a planned cesarean because you didn't know any better. Whatever the case may be, what is your legacy? What are you handing down to the generations after you when it comes to birth? My mother had my sister and I in the 70s and 80s when cesarean sections were really on the up and up. Doctors and media and big medical companies were really pushing the idea of C-sections back then. When she found out that I was pregnant, the first thing she said to me was, "Honey, I had 2 cesarean sections because they said that my uterus was too small." Well, of course that imprinted in my head. Now, that was her birth legacy, whether she believed that she was handing that down or not. She was. And she was doing it as a loving mother would, but it really left an imprint in my mind. And one of my biggest birth fears and hurdles that I had to climb over during my pregnancy was that I wasn't going to need a cesarean section just because my mother had been through that. It's not hereditary. I can birth my baby vaginally, and I ended up doing it. So what birth legacies have you been hearing from your aunties and your mother and your grandmother? What legacy do you want to pass down to your next generations? I'm a firm believer in everything that we do today really does affect our future, our daughters, our granddaughters, and maybe generations and generations that we might not meet face to face, but they will hear about our motherhood stories and our journeys as pregnant women and birthing women. So I think it's just really important to get clear on what legacy you want to hand down. So your homework for today is to write down what you've been told. What are the stories that you've been told in your family? The second part of homework is to write down what you've been telling people your legacy is. And the last part of this exercise is going to be for you to write down what you want your new legacy to sound like. How do you sound when you're speaking to your pregnant friends or cousins or peers about your birth process? Yes, you might have gone through this specific, very definite birth experience, but what are the positives that you can pull from it, and how can that become your legacy for your future births and the births of the women around you? It's been wonderful journeying with you ladies today. Please comment below. I really truly need your voice on these subjects. It only takes a few hundred crazy women to change the birthing culture, and I'm on a mission.